When you think of flying business class, Swiss may not be the first airline that comes to mind, but they're also one of the last carriers to fly a plane that melts aviation enthusiasts' hearts, the Airbus A340. So having found a decent deal to Asia, we felt compelled to fly on board.
Welcome to Zurich airport, which is such a pretty airport, and I've just come from Oslo. It's absolutely covered in snow there. I wasn't actually sure I was going to make the connection here, but in today's video we're flying in Swiss on the A340. What a rare plane.
In fact, go back 2 years to 2022 and there were just over 200 in the skies. But as of January 2024, this has reduced to as little as 80, with Lufthansa and Swiss being your best bet in Europe if you still want to fly on one.
So I would have loved to show you the lounge, but unfortunately just run out of time, so I've been trying to get to the flight. We'll see if we get there.
Today is presenting a little bit of a challenge, because my connection was originally over 2 hours, but with the weather and a bus gate, I've lost quite a bit of time. I'm still pretty confident I'll make the flight.
So if you go internationally, you just have to bear in mind that you have to take a train from the main terminal to the E-gates.
And the first shuttle train was absolutely rammed, resulting in people missing it and having to wait for the next. And having arrived at the E-gates, I actually have some good news.
So it appears that the lounge is actually closer than I thought, so I'll have a very, very quick tour.
I don't have time to waste, so instead of waiting for the lift and getting some steps in, I'm going to make use of the stairs. This is my first time entering a Swiss lounge, and I have to say I'm pretty impressed. It is busy but not overcrowded. As you'll see from the business class product, the lounge mimics a similar theme with dark colours against white and what is probably vinyl wood, to give it a more earthly feel. I don't really have time to sit down and try a full meal, and I wouldn't want to anyway, as I'll probably be eating on board enjoying a movie within the next 2 hours. What I do love is the large amount of floor to ceiling windows that surround every wall, letting in lots of light and giving close-up views of the parked airplanes. I can't vouch for the ladies, but if you do go into the gents' toilets, it's rather clever, because there's a huge window on the end of the sinks, so you can wash your hands and glimpse over to a plane taking off.
So today's flight is a Airbus A340-300 variant. That's a little bit on the smaller side, but this is an incredible plane because it's one of the few planes left in the world to have not 2, but 4 engines, and also to not be a double-decker or an A380. So that's why today's flight is so special.
Unlike Lufthansa, Swiss only operates the A340-300 variant, and here is that beautiful plane that can carry a total of 242 passengers across 4 different cabins.
And now it's off to board today's flight.
Today's flight departs Zurich at 13:10, just in time for lunch, taking just over 12 hours and covering a distance of 5,599 miles. On the way to the gate, I've forgotten to do my visa check, nearly caused me to board late, but I've spotted this very red Airbus A340, which belongs to Edelweiss Air, part of Swiss Airlines, mainly operating leisure routes including Cancun, Cape Town and Zanzibar.
So Edelweiss is kind of like Swiss's sort of holiday carrier. They also operate the A340, but they go to over 80 destinations around the world, and they even own the A340.
Passengers in first class get to board in Group 1, while business class boards in Group 2. I didn't stick around to see what happens after, so I can't unfortunately tell you. The Airbus A340 has 4 cabins, with 8 seats in a 1-2-1 configuration over 2 rows in first class at the very front. I don't personally think the video does it justice, with every window seat having 4 full windows. Wow, that's a lot of space. Just behind this is a mini cabin, with 2 rows of business class seats, with the best seat in the house being seat 4A, having both a console table left and right. Towards the back of the plane is premium economy, which is pretty passenger friendly in a 232 layout. I'm not overly keen on the brown seat covers, but on the plus side there's a moderate amount of privacy from your neighbour, and the in-flight entertainment screens are really large. and then slightly surprisingly, just behind Premium Economy, did you spot it? Let's go back. Are 2 rows of economy, with the first having phenomenally generous legroom. With 164 seats in a 242 configuration, I think they look quite good in the beigey brown. Let's head back to business class, where for some reason I picked 12K. I don't remember picking it, but as seats go, this is not great, being in close proximity to the passenger in 14G.
Welcome aboard Swiss Airlines A340.
It might not seem it, but I'm somewhat annoyed at myself for picking this seat. I really should have known better. All is forgiven, because my neighbour seems quite nice, and I've been offered this elderberry spritzer. Delicious. Now I have to admit, I'm not in love with the Swiss safety video, but it is at least 8 years old. Perhaps I'll update it with the new business class seat in a few years. Swiss is a Star Alliance partner alongside Lufthansa, and both airlines are currently in talks to update the hard product. I think you'll agree neither is cutting edge in a world where novelty doors sell seats, but Swiss does feel a little bit more private and a little bit more modern. If I had the choice of the two, this would be my go-to. The footwell is reasonably sized, and even in flat mode, my feet had a decent amount of space. The in-flight entertainment screen isn't huge. In fact, I did begin wondering if it was larger in Premium Economy, but not so small that I had to squint. It's a decent size. Below is a small but handy compartment to store a few items. You'd be amazed there are still seats flying in the sky with barely any storage, but Swiss does really well on this. And that's because the divider, which is on my right, has a pull-out cupboard with masses of space. The coat hanger is definitely more for show than practicality. You'll also find a universal plug socket, your headphones, and a bottle of branded complimentary water. In the armrest is a separate set of functionality for the seat to control firmness, lumbar support, and it even has a massage function. And the shiny silver buttons control the seat's position. Swiss's interface is not quite as polished as some of the other airlines out there. Qatar springs to mind, but it's easy to use and chunky, which is a good thing. No one likes squinting to see what you're looking at, and there are plenty of new releases and some old classics. The map is pretty standard for planes that are a little bit older. A limited amount of interactivity, but it has all the essentials. A bit like the GPS on your car, things just get better as new technology comes around. As for the headphones, these were branded with the Swiss logo, and they were good quality. Perhaps it's a little bit OCD, but why is the cable white and not black? Even so, after a few hours they were still pretty comfortable. And if you simply can't live without Wi-Fi, it's available on board, with messaging minus any images being totally free, which is always a nice perk. 4 hours costs £21.80, which is not exactly a bargain, and for the full duration of the flight, this costs £30, which again is not a steal. Table, where's the table? I couldn't record it because I needed 2 hands, but it's hidden in the side console here. The meal service begins with a beautifully crisp and clean white tablecloth, and then a bowl of mixed nuts and a choice of beverage. I'm not much of a drinker, but on this occasion I opted for a South African Glencarlo Chardonnay. Smooth and light, it was pretty good. A second run of drinks starts just before the meal service, and with no mocktails, a nice cup of English breakfast tea was accompanied by a very delicious but small Swiss chocolate. Let's have a look at the menu. With being January 2nd, a special festive menu was included. The problem here is that some items from both menus were unavailable. Odd, I know. So I was sort of railroaded in my choices, given that there wasn't a choice. Given this was the only choice, it was eat or don't. But actually, the pumpkin mousse with salad truffle mayonnaise and roasted pistachios was really delicious. And served on the same tray, this came with a nice selection of different cheeses. Oddly no crackers. And a mixed salad with balsamic vinegar. As I settle in with the pillow to make the seat that tiny bit cozier, the light was beginning to fade as we head over Eastern Europe, giving this beautiful view out the window. Still sipping my white wine, and the main course has arrived. Beef tenderloin, mashed potato with carrots. It doesn't set the bar very high, but it was delicious, which is what counts, and the beef was spot on. To finish the meal off, I was very happy with my choice, the cinnamon slice with apple compote. A good size, not heavy, and sweet, but not too sweet. And then, just in case it wasn't enough, the cabin crew came round to do a final round of drinks, when I settled for plain and simple water. The lighting on board is truly mesmerising, but it also serves a purpose to mimic the pretty nighttime sky to get you in the mood for sleeping. And before I consider sleeping and get cosy for the night, I must go for an essential bathroom tour and to use the facilities. There isn't anything overly exciting about the bathroom on the A340, but it's from an era when they were mostly grey plastic with a mirror. Credit due though for the hand lotion and the face spray. Waking up to the same pretty lighting, nature called, so I made my way to the bathroom, realising after a time change there were only 2 hours before landing. Having not shown you earlier, this button releases the tray table, which is within the side console. 2 hands are useful, but I did just manage to do it folding out with just one. I'm pleased to say there weren't any selection issues for breakfast. You merely tick whatever you wish to have. The wok fried noodle stir-fried chicken sounded like a wise choice, and it was tasty, succulent, and had a nice level of flavour. I combined this with a raspberry yoghurt, because why not? And then the cabin crew brought around a huge basket of Lindt chocolate, a sort of dessert, even though it was breakfast. Many hours ago, I visited the forward smaller business class section, which only has 2 rows, and having asked really nicely, it turns out that 5k was free. So I snapped at the chance to move, because not only was it more private, but it was also close to a full 2 windows. And having thoroughly enjoyed myself, that brings us to today's conclusion. Firstly, it was an absolute joy to fly on the Airbus A340, with only 80 or so left in the world. The cabin crew were joyful and very Swiss, efficient but friendly. As for the product, I picked one of the worst seats, but if you're travelling solo, you're going to want to go for a throne seat or one by the window. I'm still not exactly sure what happened with the menu, but the food was delicious, not the most adventurous, but very similar to what you'd expect on other European carriers. I had such a good time on board, so good in fact that I've decided to fly them next year, but in first class, so watch out for that one. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching to the end, and I'll see you in the skies.